Kim Petras recently did an interview where she talked about basically making music that empowers sex workers and endorsed hormone therapy for children. And not a lot of people know this, but Kim Petras is transgender and transitioned as one of the first minors allowed to undergo hormone therapy in Germany at 12 years old. Mm-hmm. And here's what this article from Entertainment Weekly said. Petras gets even more emotional talking about the recent attacks on the LGBTQ plus community, especially trans people, stoked by politicians who are using fear to gin up support for their campaigns. Quote, I'm extremely alarmed by it. Trans people have always been used to outrage people, but you have to remember that we're only 1% of the population. When I was a trans kid, everyone would call me crazy, but it wasn't so publicly demonized. It's scary for all of us who just want to live a normal life. This is ironic coming from somebody who was raised by Munchausen's by proxy parents that made you into a child activist in the media from the age of like under 12. You can't tell me that that was something you chose for yourself. And
sounds like a pretty normal life, yeah.
Yeah, and then on the subject of, you know, minors taking hormone therapy for gender transition, this is what Kim Petras had to say. Though hormones were essential for me, she doesn't necessarily want to promote them. Every person is different and needs different things. There isn't a specific way to be trans. You have to figure that out for yourself. But I do know that they shouldn't ban hormone therapy. It's just such a dishonest way to dodge the question, because this is really just a very poorly hidden endorsement of hormone therapy for children. Because if you're saying that it worked for you, well, good for you. But what about the people for whom it doesn't work and they have an irreversible change to their biology forever?
That they cannot consent to.
Also, in the very first paragraph of this article, this is what it said. Over the past year, Kim Petras has had to grapple with the fact that the thing she's most wanted for her entire life has also filled her with the most dread. Quote, I was so incredibly scared that if I ever had a really big hit, that people were going to say things like, her left jawbone looks male, so we can tell that she's a man. It says a lot about your mindset if that's all you can think about, instead of people valuing you for your musical talent. Quote, I've seen how brutal people can be about your body and your appearance. I wasn't sure I could handle that. And her breakthrough with Unholy, her collaboration with Sam Smith, it says she was sparked with an avalanche of misgendering taunts. Biological man, biological man. I got that from literally everywhere. I have been afraid of that so much because it stings and hurts to be analyzed like that. As if you don't directly profit off of being trans for your career.
Yeah. What is the outlet of the article that you're reading from?
Entertainment Weekly.
Because I'm so sick of media referring to men as she. It is dishonest. It is confusing for the reader. It's like bad journalism, in my opinion.
Well, it's almost like they will get fired from their jobs if
I know,
they
but
didn't do that.
I appreciate that there are some outlets that are straightforward about the truth of it. But like even articles about like the sports stuff, they'll say like a man who is in women's sports, they'll say she. And I'm like, what the actual
all of this is so you can
hell
reach
is
a
going
fake
on right now?
Cultural milestone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With Unholy, Kim Petras became the first trans artist on a #1 Billboard hit and the first to win a Grammy in her category of Best Pop Duo Group Performance, with Sam Smith as the first non-binary artist to win. It's just so that they can reach these fake milestones.
Yeah.
The Breitbart article
Historic
hilariously doesn't use any pronouns.
They avoid
says,
it completely.
Yeah, it says like, so treat me like a singer says. It's like,
that's almost more confusing for the reader.
Yeah, I feel like just call the guy he. It's
No,
well, they're like subtle jabs from Breitbart.
Yeah.
The Breitbart one calls him he.
Oh,
It does?
it's somewhere in here maybe.
The
But
Unholy singer went on to say that he is extremely alarmed by
yeah, it
politicians
does.
recently.
Oh,
But
they-
aside
Okay.
from the like subtly promoting these types of drugs for kids, he's saying stuff about like sex work can be so empowering for my friends to make money to transition.
Yeah,
it's so messed up.
It's like I have strangers pay to sexually penetrate me so that one day I can save up and afford a surgery where they cut my genitals off. And if you don't think that this is normal and healthy and empowering, then you're a hateful bigot and you are on the wrong side of history. I'm okay with that, actually.
I don't think sex work, it seems very empowering for anybody, but this notion that like you should use sex work so you can have these surgeries or get hormones and pretend you're a woman.
And kids are a part of our movement, by the way.
Yeah.
Another thing that was brought up here is the scandal about Dr. Luke and Kesha, where he was accused of drugging and R-wording her. And it's interesting how when you get any criticism or attack from your own woke camp, you're allowed to stay silent on it. Because Kim Petras has worked with Dr. Luke on songs before, and interestingly had no comment about whether or not Dr. Luke is
They settled
guilty.
out of court last week.
They reached a settlement.
Was that still going on?
I'm hoping.
Yes. So
it
it says, when asked in various
hoping.
ways about her association with Dr. Luke earlier this month during what was at the time an ongoing litigation, Kim Petras declined to comment other than to say to her fans, "I hope you can still listen to my music and enjoy it." Like, when you receive attacks from your own camp, they'll ignore your problematic past just because you fit in the trans category.
She said, Kesha says, nobody really knows what happened that night. And he goes, I know. I didn't do anything. Because he was suing her for defamation. And they've been sued. She's been sued several times.
Her team had to sign off on that press release also, so...
That was like another Me Too thing, right?
It got less attention than a lot of the other ones, but
I remember that being a thing like a long time ago.
It happened. The incident happened in 2005, but then she came out about it in like 2017 or something. Like that. It was a while
2017 ago. Just feels so long ago now.
One of Kim Petras's biggest songs, I think this was like the first one that like charted, was "I Don't Want It At All," which is basically like a Paris Hilton-esque I want all my clothes designer kind of materialistic Barbie caricature of women, basically.
That's like
no one is gonna say that, but
that's what a lot of the guys pretending to be women do.
It's like running around in a tutu and high heels.
They play up this ridiculous stereotype of what a woman is,
and my accessories
it's like a bimbo
are like what make me female.
Yeah.
Now even like Playboy has endorsed this, making Kim Petras one of their models. And like, this used to be, I mean, I'm not saying like Playboy was ever some kind of like bastion,
but do they know who their audience is?
Yeah, like their audience is straight men who aren't interested in someone with an Adam's apple.
It was same thing with Sports Illustrated.
They've gone through rebranding, those Playboy has and Sports Illustrated have, since Hefner died. So
it's no longer Playboy, it's Play They Them.
Yeah. But just like with like Margaret Sanger, have nothing to say about Hugh Hefner's past or any of the
Plenty of people have
him.
Plenty to say about Hugh Hefner's past, though, with all the people who've done their
Playboy is never going to answer for Hugh Hefner's past, just the way that Planned Parenthood is never going to answer for Margaret Sanger's past.
I do find an interesting part where they don't really understand that they answer their own question as to why people are so annoyed by this stuff these days in the first paragraph, where it says, when I was a trans kid, everyone would call me crazy, but I wasn't so publicly demonized. It's scary for us all who just want to live a normal life. That's because before then, they point out that it's just 1% of the population. Yes, but they get 80% of the media coverage. And what people notice is that it's disingenuous to give such a small portion of the population as much adulation and media attention as you give them. It doesn't ring real to society. It doesn't feel like anything honest. And people can catch on to that. And beyond the people like those who might be here who see it as indoctrination of kids, which in a lot of ways it is,
and I think
it's also just it's also just clearly agenda driven.
Yeah, and I think that percentage is going up amongst kids because of the social contagion factor of it, and it being pushed so much and being pushed on social media and apps like TikTok, and kids no longer being told, oh, it's normal for you to feel uncomfortable in your body as it's changing. They're being told, you're in the wrong body. There's something wrong with you, and I can fix it. Take these drugs, have these surgeries. It's so abusive.
Yep, and the pop stars that are singing this stuff are right on the front lines of helping them.
Yeah,
Might as well
it's
give
coming
them...
from an international pop star of all people that, we just want to live a normal life. I just want to, present in society as a woman because there's something, I don't know, defective about my brain where my biology doesn't match who I feel I am mentally. It's coming from someone who has put out songs called Throat Goat and Treat Me Like a Slut.
I think
You're not a normal person.
Yeah.
You're not living a normal life.
Yeah.
You want the attention.
I think that the things that people who are clearly severely mentally ill say in regards to activism on this stuff shouldn't hold that much weight given their mental state and problems.
Right, exactly.
That might sound a little harsh, but I think that the truth is more compassionate than, tiptoeing around and lying about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's they don't realize that what they're asking for is to be left alone. It's Harry and Meghan all over again. They're asking to be left alone, well then bombarding you with media about them and then wondering why you find it disingenuous or don't exactly like to feel like you're being preached to by someone, because certainly I don't think they would want to have me talking about my life preaching to them about anything. And why would they, right? Just like other people don't want them doing it to them. I wouldn't expect anyone to want me to do it to them. So,
along with her use of hormones, Kim Petras credits the unwavering support of her parents as a lifesaver. When she was very young, her family let her dress how she wanted at home. Quote, it was usually in a tutu or in whatever the most ridiculous dress there was. Those hyper-feminine outfits became a refuge from the days that she had to present as a boy at school. Quote, having to hide that part of myself and feeling like this monster who can't get out of the house or everyone's going to effing scream made those clothes my identity. You made clothes that were ridiculously hyper-feminine into your identity. You said the quiet part out loud. Sorry, but it couldn't be more obvious. And then if your parents were really letting you express yourself the way that you wanted as a boy, then why would you get put on a cycle of hormone treatments at 12 years old? And then also getting your penis cut off at 16 years old.
It was 16 years old?
Yeah, because in Germany, I think they've been like way more progressive on this issue than other countries. I mean, that's where the Weimar Republic was.
You think maybe even...
That's where those experimentations began.
If you'd done something like that, I feel like it'd be really hard to even accept it, even if you knew you'd made a mistake. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Like, if you had a surgery that mutilates you willingly, it may be
What's
hard.
the off-ramp?
Yeah, like, how would you go back on that?
Yeah.
And it might be hard to admit that that wasn't a good move, even if you did realize it.
Where's the off-ramp for people like this,
They become the detransitioners and they, get bullied online.
But that's, more horrifying than just continuing to live what you know is a lie.
It's like you've already gone this far in this direction. You kind of have to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
There was
or it might feel that way.
They recently pulled a movie about detransitioners out of AMC theaters.
Of course they did.
After backlash from people.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't go and see that now. And get
God forbid
informed.
you tell your truth.
Well, your truth is inconvenient in this case. So.
But I feel like if you had done something like that, maybe you don't regret it, but even if you did, I can't imagine how difficult it would be to say so.
Nobody acts like this if they don't have a massive void in their life.
They have to prove themselves all the time.
Yeah. So I don't look at this individual and say this person's, has a really strong sense of self and what they think is right and wrong.
You mean you don't look at the picture of the blood dripping out of the mouth with horns on the head and think this person's really got it all together?
Right.
With a world tour called Feed the Beast.
Ah, yes.
Come on now.
Mm-hmm. seems like a great role
Could
model.
it be more
to
on the
me.
nose?
Full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.